to you all. It is a pleasure to be here with you all to officially open this year's Top Executive Conference 2022. This is my first TOPEX conference. However, I had a vested interest in the annual event, having seen how it brings together Fiji's private sector leaders. One of the first engagements when assuming the office of the President, I was to be the chief guest at the Attorney General's conference. Reading through this, I was reminded that I had to walk to the stage and I forgot my glasses on the set, and I told the members of the meeting that I'd be facing all the lawyers today and all the legal minds in Fiji. But with some of the street lawyers, street skills that I had to convince myself to the lawyers. And here today, I'm sitting with, looking at Fiji's distinguished intellectuals, top executive in this room tonight. And I'm really honored to be here tonight. The theme for the TOPEX 22, Strategies, Synergies, Solution for Sustainable Recovery 2030, has never been as relevant as to us as it is today. The geopolitical, economic, and social structures of the world are changing at almost breakneck speed, preventing the private sector with a series of complex challenges, not at least which are the ever-growing impacts of climate change. Of course, many businesses are still trying to recover from the toll of COVID-19. Government alone has lost over 3.2 billion in tax revenues due to the pandemic, and Fiji recorded its largest ever economic contraction of 17.2% in 2020, with a further 4% contraction in 2021 due to the second wave. The imported inflation we are currently experiencing as a result of the high fuel and food prices triggered by the unjust Russian invasion of Ukraine is significantly impacting many Fijian businesses, households, and families. And the International Monetary Fund has projected global growth to slow from 6.1% in 2021 to 3.6% in both 2022 and 2023. These economic statistics provide a very important basis for you as a private sector organizations, leaders, entrepreneurs, and employers as you engage in the meaningful discussions and craft solutions that will allow our nation to recover sustainably. Through the government's 5-year and 20-year National Development Plan, in the midst of the recent global pandemic, global economic challenges, the Fijian government has proven itself as a genuine partner to the private sector. Both have worked hand in hand to develop and implement policies to respond to COVID-19, power recovery, opening of the international borders, and galvanized trade negotiations to keep our business and the Fiji economy alive. A total of 430 million in unemployment benefits has been paid out by the government to Fijians to date. And we know that FNP members withdrew around $180 million from their general accounts during this time. Approximately 114,000 employees in the formal sectors were assisted by the government through the release of 205 million, with 225 million directed towards the informal sector. Of these, around 6,000 MSMEs benefited from a $32 million projection. Ladies and gentlemen, we can all agree that Fiji's economic recovery is looking promising, even better than expected, many will say. Since the opening of our international borders on the 1st of December 2021, our tourism industry has been booming. From January to October this year, we have welcomed just under 500,000 visitors to our beautiful shores. Last month alone, 70,152 people traveled to Fiji, with visitors from Australia and New Zealand surpassing the 2019 peak levels. That is an amazing win for every Fijian and for every business owner. These wins, of course, are no accident. Government made decisive moves with its pandemic time national budgets to reduce all major tourism-related taxes and instead introduce attractive tax incentives to stimulate investment opportunities in the tourism sector. These have been implemented in concert with policy measures to promote growth across sectors. with the aim to further diversify Fiji's economy. Some of the most successful have been the business process outsourcing sector, agriculture, manufacturing, and other value-adding industries. As we look ahead, double-digit growth of 11.3% is projected for 2022, fueled predominantly by accommodation and food services, transport and storage, finance and insurance, wholesale and retail, manufacturing and agriculture. So I think it's safe to say that we are on the same page, ladies and gentlemen. It is critical that government and the private sector continue to work in close collaboration towards recovery and sustainability. At this juncture, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the FCEF's commitment towards supporting SMEs, particularly women and youth-led initiatives, through its partnership with the government by way of Business Assistance Fiji and Fiji Enterprise Engine. This is also an excellent example of inclusiveness by our private sector and realization of government's only priority in promoting entrepreneurial culture through sustainable micro and small and medium enterprise in its 5 and 20-year National Development Plan. Those that know me will know that an opportunity space close to my heart is the Blue Pacific, which remains home to many untapped opportunities in the ocean space. The Pacific Leaders' endorsement of the 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific continent early this year is a testimony to the untapped potential of the Pacific Ocean. That is why Fiji had set itself on a path to become the world's bluest economy. The United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP27, closed with a breakthrough agreement that will provide loss and damage funding for vulnerable countries hit hard by climate disasters. This outcome has been welcomed by small island developing states as it addresses the impacts on communities whose lives and livelihood have been ruined by the very worst of impact of climate change. Here is the opportunity for the private sector to work with government in a pivotal way. As I conclude, I cannot overstate the vital need for a continued public-private partnership. In your deliberation of the next 2 days, I encourage you, as you discuss priorities and solutions, be mindful of how private sector can continue to strengthen its partnership with government in order to generate a sustainable recovery for our nation. With those few words, it is my pleasure to officially open the TOPEX 2022. I wish all delegates, speakers, TOPEX committee members, and the FCF-EF board the very best for the days ahead. May God bless us all, and God bless Fiji.
Good evening, everyone. The President of Fiji, His Excellency, Ratu Wiliame Katonivere, Governor of the Reserve Bank, Arif Ali, New Zealand High Commission First Secretary, Hone Patrick, New Zealand Trade Commissioner to the Pacific, David Diwa, FCF Trustee Jenny Sito, Madam Chair TOPEX Committee, Eseta Nandakai Tuvuki, Board and CEO of FCF, speakers, valued members, friends, and members of the media. Welcome to TOPEX 2022. We are privileged to have with us this evening the President of Fiji, His Excellency Ratu Wiliame Katonivere, to officially open TOPEX 2022. Since the TOPEX revamp in 2013, we've always had the presence of the Presidents of Fiji at TOPEX, in a way making the President of Fiji a patron of TOPEX. Your Excellency, a very big Vinaka level for accepting our invitation, and once again, I welcome you warmly to your first TOPEX, an official engagement with the FCF family. TOPEX initially began in the 80s, and at that time it was designed as a gathering for its members of the private sector to present recommendations towards the government's economic forum. We've come a long way since. I'm pleased to stand before you today and share that we have a total of over 280 registered participants at this year's TOPEX, a number which could have been bigger had it not been for constraints which are beyond our control. If this is your first TOPEX, a very warm welcome, and if you are a TOPEX regular, welcome back, and I hope you reconnect with the old and new faces and build on those partnerships and friendships. At TOPEX 2021, Resilient Businesses Ready for Tomorrow was the theme. It was just fitting that we now find solutions with strategic synergies to sustain economic recovery towards 2030. Hence this year's theme, Strategies, Synergies, Solutions for a Sustainable Recovery 2030. Considering the efforts of the Fijian Sustainable Bond Framework that was launched at COP27 in Egypt, TOPEX is committed towards lowering its carbon footprint to support Fiji's commitment to lowering its emissions. TOPEX delegates are invited to support the cause on Saturday through a mangrove planting activity. His Excellency the President of Fiji will be leading this initiative by planting a tree at Shangri-La Island on the first day of TOPEX tomorrow. Without doubt, the existence of FSF is based on the fundamentals of a good partnership. The Federation derives support from ILO, DFAT, MFAT, MDF, the French, Australian, New Zealand, British governments, USA, various UN agencies, BLP, PIFs, our line ministries, MCTTT, Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Labour, for which we are grateful. FSF is also a founding member of Business Assistance Fiji, BEF, a government initiative to assist MSMEs in Fiji to establish, provide support and nurture these MSMEs. This is a four-way partnership with Fiji Institute of Accountants, Women in Business, Fiji Chamber of Commerce. It is my hope that through these meaningful partnerships, we will strengthen our business communities and networks, whilst sharing best practices on how we can overcome emerging disruptions to our businesses. Fiji is not spared from challenges of the global economy. I'd like to touch on a few pertinent issues. We're seeing an increasing number of professionals, semi-skilled and unskilled workers migrating to other countries for work, creating huge gaps in the local workforce. Secondly, psychological well-being and physical health are coming up as critical factors to sustaining a productive workforce. And thirdly, unprecedented high shipping costs and delays are pushing prices up with no signs of relief in the immediate future. How can we, as Fijian thought leaders, develop strategies to overcome these challenges while being mindful of the rich socio-cultural dynamics of our people? Where is the opportunity in merging tradition with innovation? FSF is not against the idea of labor mobility, but stresses that a sustainable model is needed. Otherwise, Fiji will not be able to sustain this trade. I encourage you to discuss these issues during the networking sessions so that we, as a community, can find solutions to these challenges together. Last year, I alluded that FSF will be undertaking a refreshing exercise. Project Boulevard, as named, is led by Mike Spencer and Eldon Eastgate. Their committee has been working on this project for a number of months. Given the rich history of 62 years, the refreshing exercise is more complex than what we envisaged it to be. Considering the importance of this project, we will now bring you this change in the first quarter of 2023. A new strap plan, a new website, strengthening and refresh of the councils, a logo rebrand are amongst the work that is being carried out. WebC and FPDRC are two councils that have a lot of traction, a lot more to come your way as members. Our participation at the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework consultations on the development of their strategic plan for the next 5 years endorses FSF as the recognized national private sector organization in Fiji. I'm hopeful that in the new year, FSF will become the hub of mentoring in Fiji with the establishment of Fiji Institute of Mentoring under the guidance of the Asian Institute of Mentoring. So watch this space, members. Although businesses are the engines of the economy, governments create the environment and structure that enable enterprise to flourish. Through FSF, we are privileged to have direct access to government ministries to raise critical issues which impact how our businesses function. A resilient recovery from the pandemic and restarting economic transformation will require policies that support a thriving private sector and further enable the 3 T's: trade, technology, and training. Over the next few days, I urge you to step out of your usual circles and engage with other delegates present, from government, development partners, CSO representatives, to contribute to the resilient recovery we aspire to achieve. I'd like to acknowledge all our valuable sponsors, without whom a conference of this magnitude is not possible. So a very hearty thank you to you all. I'd like to thank the TOPEX Chair, Seta, and a hard-working organizing committee for bringing us all here. Vinaka Seta. Wishing you all an enjoyable conference and great deliberations and networking over the next 3 days. Thank you very much.